Hey guys, welcome back for the second match in this league. We're 1-0 on play. Let's get into it. This hand, we have 3 mana lands, which is really not what we're looking for. No threat, only a force of will. Like if I have to force the land ponder, if I have to force something, then I just have no resources left, so I'm gonna mulligan. Awesome. This hand is unplayable because we have no lands, so we're gonna start this match on 5 cards or less, which obviously is not great. All right, this hand is all right. We're gonna ditch the Stifle for sure, and maybe I think Spell Snare. Spell Snare is really good at catching you up when you are on the draw, but on the play is a little less enticing. So we'll keep this bottom snare and Stifle, and we're done. So we're gonna lead on Delver. I'm not really looking to cantrip here, even though possibly I could play a turn 2 Ren and 6 off of that cantrip if I find a bolt or find a land. Arid Mesa. Look at this name. Burn. Okay. Land on top, please. Okay. No that. Nimble Mongoose. No. We fetched first because we want to be able to play this Mongoose even if we like the cards on top. Yeah. Okay. So Wasteland is not great in this matchup. It does provide you some measure of protection against Price of Progress. Typically this matchup is not great for the Delver side. A Ren and 6 is not great in this matchup because all of the creatures are X2s. Eidolon can be a beating, and they just have a lot of stuff, like 2 Goblin Guides. Yikes! So unfortunately, I did not have the option of putting a land on top to draw. Putting a land on top to draw off the Goblin Guide, but we're gonna flip on this Brainstorm. So we have a Ponder underneath that. I think what we want to do here is start trying to build up to Threshold with Nimble Mongoose. And so that means this Ren and 6 does not have a lot of value. So let's fire off a Brainstorm. And we will put back, I guess we can put Wasteland on top so we draw it. And then we'll put Ren and 6 underneath. Ren and 6, not impressive in this matchup. So I'm actually going to hold Delver on blocking duty. I'm happy to trade that for a Goblin Guide. And obviously Mongoose isn't going to be a great blocker. It looks like my opponent's on 1 land, which is good. Hopefully my Days will be alive. Be able to kill one of the Goblin Guides and stabilize, hopefully getting this Mongoose going soon. So I put the Wasteland on top, not because I want to draw Wasteland. Wasteland is pretty bad in this matchup. But we want to have, additional cards in our hand when we cast this Brainstorm. So once the Goblin Guides attack, we'll get trigger, draw the Wasteland. We will not get the other one. We'll have this Wrenn and 6 on top. Bolt one of these guys. And block the other one. And then, on our turn, when we fire off this Brainstorm, we will have Threshold with Nimble Mongoose. It's going to be a great blocker. Oh, crap. Skipped a little too far there. Brainstorm here. Great. More bolts. Tarmogoyf. All good. So we'll put Wasteland back on. Yeah, my opponent has played 3 Goblin guys and a bolt on top. Get in for 3. Rift Bolt suspended. That's fine. So I think here we're just going to play a 4/5 Tarmogoyf and ship the turn. After attacking with Nimble Mongoose, of course. You know, if I can keep my opponent from playing lands, or from being able to develop their mana base, or rather, you know, it's actually pretty hard for me to interact with their mana base. But if they don't have a second land, we're in pretty good shape with these 2 bolts, plus these big beefy creatures on the battlefield. We will see what happens. So, for those of you who are just Modern players in Legacy, the burn deck is just mono red. A couple cards we don't see here: Fire Blast, which lets you sack 2 mountains to deal 4 damage to any target. Price of Progress, for 1 red, 1 color, 1 generic, deals damage to both players equal to 2 times the number of non-basic lands they have. So right now that's a Boros Charm, but that quickly grows to 6, 8 damage, which is why sometimes we need to keep Wasteland in the deck. Don't know what is taking my opponent so long here. I don't imagine they have a large number of choices to make. We will see what they do. And we'll see what they do. Come on, opponent. You can do it. You can do it. So, Nimble Mongoose has recently become modern legal. Not really making a splash, which is too bad, because I think it is a pretty good card in this shell, despite what some people would say. I guess in Modern you have to start playing like with Thought Scours and all kinds of cards that aren't very good if you want to get the threshold going in any reasonable amount of time. I don't know if they could play this. Oh no, they can't play this in the Bottles deck, obviously. Shroud. It's interesting that Hexproof was, you know, supposed to be a fixed version of Shroud, but it ended up just being like way worse and more annoying. That's kind of funny to me. Okay, we got a second red source. So let's see what happens. I'm glad I kept this Wasteland because Price of Progress will deal 4 damage to me now if my opponent decides to play it main phase or during my upkeep. We have something like Eidolon or any of their creatures pretty well covered. I don't think Fire Blast is really an option for them. What else could they have? Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about our position. Like 10 life can go away in this matchup pretty quickly, but you know, they would need a pretty specific combination of cards, and just like being stuck on one land until turn 5 is not really an efficient way for the burn deck to play its game plan. Alright, they're passing here with 2 mana up, so I am going to just play this Wasteland as I draw it off the top. Oh, here it comes. Price of Progress. There it is. So let's brainstorm here and maybe draw a Daze. I know we've got Wasteland on top, but yeah, not what we're looking for. So I take 4, go down to 6. But with this land, we now have lethal with the double bolts. And then even fetching down to 5, I do not die to Fire Blast. Theoretically, my opponent could have Gut Shot, but I'm obviously not going to play around Fire Blast plus Gut Shot. Alright, GG. Next game. So we're going to keep... Okay, first of all, get this Dismember out of here. We're going to keep most of the Wastelands because they can help us deploy Tarmogoyf. And we need them to play around that Price of Progress. We can cut Wrenn in 6. It really does not do a lot in this matchup. Stifle could be okay. Stifle also counters Rift Bolt. You just have to counter the last trigger from coming off, and then nothing happens. So we do have this Red Blast, or Blue Blast, which would be great, and a Flusterstorm. Ancient Grudge. I'm only playing artifacts. I think Rough Tumble is fine, you know, against a double Goblin Guide draw. That certainly gets something done. And like honestly, even Vapor Snag like might be worth considering over one Stifle. They are playing a fetch land mana base, which makes me suspect they have Grim Lavamancer. So maybe keep... Because Wrenn in 6 just doesn't do anything. I don't want to have a lot of lands in play against Burn, because that just becomes a liability. Now let's try this card out. Let's try out Vapor Snag in this matchup. Because a lot of times this matchup just come down to a race where you get off to a turn 1 Delver and they turn 1 Goblin Guide or Lava Spike you or something like that, and you have to race and setting back, you know, especially something like a Swift Spear with 2/3 prowess triggers on it, and instead they take 1. It's not nothing. It's not nothing. We will see. Hopefully we can draw that Blue Blast. That'll be great. I hope did I bring in that Force Negation? Yes, okay. Alright, opponent, come on. Probably going to try cutting this one down, editing out some of this dead space. My opponent is either double queuing or lagging or just playing slow. This hand is fine. Again, Wasteland mostly here as a defensive measure, but we can keep it. Our opponent mulligan. We have a Bolt for a potential Goblin Guide or something like that. Force and Spell Pierce for various burn cards. Opponent down to 5 cards. You know, Burn you can kind of think of as a combo deck, except that, you know, their combo is like 7 cards that all do the same thing. So you know, obviously the less resources they start with, the more frequently we're going to be able to just kind of grind them out, leave them so that we're at like, you know, 9, 10, 11 life, and they're just top decking small creatures and burn spells. Okay, Got a Goblin Guide coming in here. I got a Delver on top. That's pretty good. So, like the question is, do I want to take 2 from the to play Delver and then take 2 from the Goblin Guide, and then save this Lightning Bolt for something like Eidolon? My opponent only has 3 cards in their hand, so if they have like land Eidolon, that's really not great. And I think we want to get on board and try to race them. So I'm going to play this Delver. I'm going to take 2 from the guide, untap, and see how it goes. Okay, so there's the land. Bolt my Delver. That's great. That's great. We've got 2 cards left. And just a lonely Goblin Guide bashing in. Reveal my top card, it's a Bolt. Excellent, so they won't even see the second one coming. The question here is if I want to fetch before I ponder, which is always kind of a tough call. Or I could just not ponder. I think I'm just going to not ponder, not do anything. I made my land drop for the turn. And this allows me to hold Spell Pierce up for any number of annoying things. Opponent just thinning their deck in their upkeep. Another land, wow, really flooding out. Whoops. You just don't want me to look at my top card? Well, I'm just going to kill this now because I don't think... I want to use my mana efficiently, blah blah blah. Delver, excellent. So I'm going to play my Wasteland for a little Price of Progress protection, which I'm not sure I would even use. Maybe I just Wasteland my own Wasteland. Play Delver. Again, I don't think I need to ponder. I can pitch that to the Force if need be. With our opponent down to 2 cards, I think I'm in the driver's seat here, and I just want to make sure I have all my bases covered. Lava Spike resolves. Let's see what we are drawing with a Nimble Mongoose. We're not going to worry about that. So let's ponder first. Ugh, this is not good. Not good. Days looking pretty weak in the face of all that stuff, and then I have to leave Days on top. I'm going to shuffle this. I'm going to shuffle this because if I have to leave Days on top, it's possible that my opponent plays their 4th land, and then like it's just really hard to get any value from Days. So we have a lot of our bases covered. We can take 4 from Price of Progress, or take 2 from Price of Progress if we want. We have Force of Will for everything. We don't have Spell Mastery for Exquisite Firecraft. Nothing at end of turn. So here I would take 1 from a Swift Spear or 2 from a Goblin Guide. Yeah, untap and bolt it. Yeah, my opponent seems to have a very anemic draw this game, which is good because this matchup can be really challenging. Like, you know, they have not only the 4 lightning bolts, but the 4 chain lightnings that can make pretty quick work of your Delvers. Mongoose is okay, can't usually get in. Doesn't really attack or block well in the early part of the game, if they should feel compelled to block, or if compelled to leave blockers back for some reason. Price of progress. Okay. So do I want to wasteland my wasteland or wasteland my trop? I think I'm going to wasteland my own trop here, because that will also allow us to have threshold for nimble mongoose. I might take 2 damage. Hopefully we can flip here. You know, ideally we'd like flip on a ponder or something. Ponder, attack for 6. Have like bolt and force up in the event that, well, I guess, okay, brainstorm, great draw. Do I want to fire off a main phase brainstorm here? I think I do. My opponent has 2 cards. Yeah. Let's just get a clock going as best we can. Yeah, not a great lineup here. So we're definitely going to put back Wasteland, and I think one of the bolts. Yeah, because then we're going to be pretty well protected from just about anything our opponent could do. Yeah, I figure that their hand is probably just either more lands, maybe like 1 Fire Blast. Obviously, like, they don't have any bolts or chain lightnings. I think my opponent is in bad shape here. Bad shape. So we don't even have to cast the bolt. Next turn, we just attack twice with both of these dummies, and that should seal the game up. I'm not sure what combinations of 3 cards deal 10 damage through a Force of Will, plus a Spell Pierce or Spell Snare for the next turn. But anything is possible, I suppose. Let's see. If they have 1 Fire Blast, that's 4. I force it, go down to 9. That does give them spell, so if they go like Fire Blast, they have to do this now, otherwise I'm going to get additional value off Spell Pierce. Like Fire Blast gets counter, I go down to 9, bolt me. I go down to 6. Yeah, I'm pretty sure my opponent is drawing dead. Unless they have something like, oh no, I'm sorry, we're still in their upkeep because they're taking forever. You know, something like a big turn with Monastery Swift Spear, which is another card I would definitely force. No, I wouldn't, because I have a bolt on top. Come on, opponent. Let's see what are you up to? What are you doing? I'm definitely going to edit this video a little bit, kind of cut out some of this downtime because it's This is ridiculous, right? Like, come on. So let's say they draw Fire Blast and add that to 2 bolts. So go Fire Blast, like bolt, bolt, go down to 4. Fire Blast gets forced. I should pitch the Ponder then, because then off the top. We'll see. Maybe my opponent is just going to time out. It's looking like that's entirely possible. Might just be salting off. Come on, opponent. This is ridiculous. Bomat Courier. Okay. Bomat Courier, interesting addition to the burn deck. When it attacks, you exile a face down card. You can pay a red and sack it. Discard your hand, and you get all the cards that are under the Bomat Courier. Okay, let's bash. Again, my opponent is taking forever. This is not fun to play against. There's a lot of dead time in this video. I'm gonna just cut that out. Come on, opponent. So I'm feeling like... No, I should say this one. Hello, opponent. Alright, my opponent is back. I think I'm actually going to hang back with this mongoose because it doesn't actually change the clock. Oh, actually it does. It does. Because now if my opponent tries to fetch in their turn, I can just bolt them in response. I'm going to let them cycle these cards with the Bomat Courier. And I think I should have, pretty much all of their outs covered. Like take one from Courier, go down to 8. Go down to 8, and then they get 2 cards back. And I have them. I should have them covered between all these pieces of interaction. Goblin Guide. Okay. Yes. Like, Goblin Guide here is just worse than Lightning Bolt because it's only going to deal 2 damage to me. I'm going to go down to 6. I think I can live through pretty much anything else they do. Because they have to crack the Bomat Courier. Pay a red to crack the Bomat Courier. And then I have 1 red up, Bolt or Lava Spike, I let resolve, I think. Fire Blast. Okay, and I'm going to Force of Will this. And then there's no combination of cards that, even if they crack this Courier, there's no combination of cards that's going to deal 5 damage to me in 1 shot. Grim Lava Man, sure. Okay. This game's over. And bolt your face. GG. Alright, thanks guys. We'll be back for the 3rd round.